Greetings dear children. In this video, we will be learning the poem A Work of Artifice written by Marge Piercy. About the poet. Marge Piercy was born in Detroit, Michigan, an American progressive activist and writer, the first member of her family to attend college, winning a scholarship to attend the University of Michigan. A work of Artifice written in 1970 is one of the early works of Piercy. It was published in her collection called The Art of Blessing the Day. About the poem. Written in unmetered free verse, the 24-line poem is an allegory about the subjugation of women. In the poem A Work of Artifice, Marge Piercy illustrates the oppression of women through the vivid imagery of the bonsai tree and the trickery and coaxing of the gardener. Piercy uses the relationship between a gardener and a bonsai tree to explore how patriarchy stunts women, keeping them from realizing their full potential. The title has a deeper meaning. The word artifice has a negative connotation, which means a clever trick or a cunning strategy to deceive someone. The poem sets a sarcastic tone while talking about the oppression of women and how women suffer in society. Piercy uses poetic devices such as metaphor, diction, allusion to show how the society subjugates women to fit the accepted idea of beauty. The title of the poem, A Work of Artifice, is significant because it highlights the central theme of the poem, the idea that women are often seen as the work of art that are created and controlled by men and society. The word artifice means clever or cunning trick, which implies that the shaping of bonsai tree is a deliberate and intentional act rather than a natural process. So let's see the term bonsai here. A globally popular Japanese gardening technique involves miniaturizing trees so they can be grown in a pot that is considered a form of art. So here we see the bonsai tree. Where is it kept? In an attractive pot. Could have grown 80 feet tall. The tree could have grown or could have been an 80 feet infallible tree by the mountain side, that means on the side of the mountain, till split by lightning, means that could be damaged only by lightning, otherwise it would have grown 80 feet tall. But the gardener, what did he do? Carefully pruned it to a height of 9 inches. So the bonsai tree in an attractive pot could have grown 80 feet tall on the side of a mountain till split by lightning through these lines. Or these lines suggest that the bonsai tree, like women, has the potential for a great growth and possess strength. However, the tree is confined to a small pot, attractive pot, just as women are confined to certain roles and expectations. It is not grown to its potential. Let's look at the poetic devices used here. Bonsai tree, metaphor for women who face a discrimination and suppression in the society. These lines could have grown till the last 9 inches to express that women have a vast potential to grow and accomplish things, but fail to do so as a result of the manipulation of the gardener, that is society's cultural restriction. Could have grown 80 feet tall. The literary term used is irony. Attractive pot and pruned. Example for visual imagery. and gardener here represents a man or society. Every day as he whittles back the branches, the gardener croons, "It is your nature to be small and cozy, domestic and weak. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in." So here we see that the gardener is singing. He is very happy while trimming its branches every day. And he says, the nature has made it small and weak so that it can be domesticated and grown indoors. And it is fortunate, the tree is fortunate to have a pot in which it can grow. The main idea projected in this poem through the metaphorical use of bonsai tree is that stunting the growth of women is a clever trick played by the patriarchal society. The control, here we see the control begins early so that what could grow 80 feet tall is dwarfed to just 9 inches. Here, women are so highly conditioned to live within the domestic walls, look attractive, and do domestic chores that they start believing that they are small, cozy, domestic, and weak, and they are fortunate they have a pot. It is internal confinement, metaphorical way it is. They are protected in a pot. The extreme conditioning cripples the brain and they are almost rendered incapable to think independently and claim freedom. Let's see the poetic devices used here. Whittling and pruning. The literary term used is metaphor, which means brainwashing and confinement. Croons, that is auditory imagery. Small and cozy, domestic and weak implies that these are the terms which society uses when viewing women and their abilities. How lucky little tree to have a pot to grow in. Ironically, it is told that the tree is really fortunate to have a pot in which it can grow. One more literary term used in the last two lines, that is illusion. Care and safety are positive associations, but here they embody sinister intentions in the poem. Pot, literary term used is metaphor, which means internal confinement. With living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in curlers, the hands you love to touch. The bonsai tree becomes an extended metaphor for a woman. Like a bonsai tree, a woman from a very young age is kept in control. Here the speaker offers examples of how their growth is stunted by binding their feet, brainwashing them, and putting their hair in curlers. The conditioning begins very early. One must begin very early to dwarf their growth. The conditioning begins very early by their feet being bound, brain being crippled, and hair in curlers. It represents the oppression of women, their inability to grow, and how society has kept them tied to ancient customs, preventing them from achieving their full potential. Here we can see one of the themes highlighted, artificial beauty standards that can also be a way of brainwashing women. The poet refers to the painful practice of foot binding as it is shown in the image. Ultimately, it happens like this. Practice of foot binding, then hair curling aimed at crippling the brain. Women spend their time, energy and attention towards appearing attractive. And what happens ultimately? This prevents them from reaching their potential. The poem here ironically shows that though man resorts to different ways in making his thing an attractive showpiece, he still seeks comfort and admiration from her. Let's see the last two lines. The hands you love to touch. The last two lines of the poem present the greatest challenge when trying to decipher the hidden meaning of the poem. The hands you love to touch. This projects the message of do not bite the hands that feed you. It is a grim reminder that we often damage the very things that we love. Kindly note the literary terms used in the previous slide. With living creatures, one must begin very early to dwarf their growth. The literary term used is irony, which means just like the growth of tree is stunted by the gardener, the growth and development of women is controlled as early as possible. The bound feet, the crippled brain, the hair in curlers, the literary term used is apostrophe. And the last two lines, the hands you love to touch, the literary term used is a tactile imagery. And also I have given explanation for the phrase bound feet, hands you love to touch, and the terms dwarf and crippled. You can just go through the notes given here, children. And analysis, let's look at the analysis of the poem. In Marge Piercy's A Work of Artifice, through the metaphor of the bonsai tree as the woman and the gardener as man, the poet presents us with a very interesting picture of that patriarchal society where woman is constantly manipulated by man. Thus, it shall be interesting to analyze the poem in the light of feminist criticism. Thank you, children.